Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the doc that we will be using today, and you can refer to it. Okay, let me pin it in the chat.
Ma'am, which week? 11?
11, 11, 11. Yes, pardon. Does anyone have any doubt? Okay, okay. So week 11. So the later weeks are generally more theory heavy from week 9 onwards, but of course there are some coding places as well, like the PyTest assertion and the PyTesting parts. Okay, so let us start. In week 11, first it starts with the HTML evolution. Okay, so there are several markup languages. Okay, so it starts with the origins, like where it started and the primary use and the challenges of the markup languages of HTML, like the lack of standardizations across implementations and the varied target audiences. Okay, so when the markup languages were first introduced, they were actually like different types of target audiences, not just one, like the academics, then the publishers, and as well as the coders. Okay, so that is why they didn't have a fixed market, and that caused a lot of I will say chaos. Okay, and then then came the SGML, which is the standard generalized markup language, which was introduced as the meta language to define other markup languages. Okay, I hope that it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. Okay, so the key features of the HSGML will be it is declarative, which means that it can focus on defining the structure and the attributes without specifying how to process the document. Okay, and it also means that it is rigorous, which means that it ensures the strict structure as well as comparable to database design. Okay, so also there are also different types of document type definitions. Okay, which means that the formal specification for families of markup languages within HTML. Okay, then came okay, so also there are like early markup languages and their derivatives which use HTML. Okay, HTML for the structure and extensibility. So then came HTML. So you can kind of see that HTML was derived from HTML. Okay, the structure and the parts. HTML was too strict with the structure and everything. It tried to impose the fixed design. It tried to impose a fixed design. Yes, the previous recording will be uploaded to YouTube soon. Okay, don't worry. Also, okay, so that is why HTML was introduced then. Okay, so HTML has a particular timeline that we followed. Okay, so HTML 2.0, which was the early attempts to align with the HTML, okay, compliance, and then the HTML 4.0, which became officially the HTML compliant, but there were limited usage. But then lastly came the HTML5, which is the one that we use right now, and which broke away fully from the HTML and defined its own parsing rules and better flexibility. Okay, so this means that while the HTML was really strict with the structure and everything, in HTML you kind of have free reign on how you are allowed to design a particular web application like this. Okay, in the front end, however you want. Okay, so suppose in HTML as well, there are like certain fixed things that you need to follow, like suppose the head should come first. Okay, like in head the title should come first so that the title is visible over here, then the body. Okay, but it doesn't have certain parameters, like h1 should come inside the body first, and then only afterwards the divs need to come. Okay, the key characteristics will be the parsing. It is actually designed to be lenient to facilitate the broader adoption. Okay, well, as I said, it is very lenient in response to like SGML. Okay, and the backward compatibility, which is that it retains the support for the older tags, okay, and features while modernizing the functionalities. Again, there were certain, since HTML has been derived from SGML, so certain tags means that h1 tag, div tag, those types of tags, okay, so they were also like inherited from SGML, okay, so they became the older tags, but now they have been modified in such a way that they can be modernized, okay. So the HTML5 maintenance now, what is happening that a living standard is maintained by the Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group, okay. They maintain HTML5 and they define like how to how else will you use the HTML over here, okay, in the front end, and they kind of like modernize it as well, okay. Then came the XML, okay. You will also use XML in JavaScript, okay. So if you remember in week 8 we were talking about XML, YAML and JSON files, okay. JavaScript can be used to APIs, okay. APIs can be used to send XML files via in the backend server, okay. So XML, what is exactly XML? It is an extensible markup language, okay. So it is actually also a derivative of SGML, okay. So it is designed for extensibility and versatility, okay. It enables the developers to define custom tags for specific use cases, okay, while HTML doesn't really allow us to define custom tags. Like for example, there are fixed tags, okay, in HTML. Like if you want to have a, if you want to make a paragraph, you have to use the p tag only, okay. And if you want to make a bold statement in HTML5, you have to use the p tag. You have to use the b tag only, okay. So in XML, you can use your own custom tags, okay. XML gives you the free reign over that, okay. So also there are certain key features in XML, which will be that it is also simplicity, that it is also easy to use and understand, okay. Also it is human readable and machine readable. Again, it can be like easily like readable by the machine as well as human, okay. If you remember that XML was kind of similar to JSON in a way, okay. We were writing, I had provided an example of XML, okay. The structure, like it was like a dictionary type structure where the two curly braces and then using double quotes, okay. The structure will be supports complex data relationships as and structures, okay. So XML, while it is used to it can be used to design certain things with, like using customer tags by developers, it can also be used to send data, okay. Also applications widely used for data interchange and presentation. For examples, it can be used in RSS feed, okay, like news and blogs indication, okay. Mathematical notations and SVG, which is scalable vector graphics, okay. So in the end, it is actually used in how is it being used in the application? It is used via API calls, okay. We use the API to send XML via the like XML, we use the API to send data via XML files, okay. Then came the XHTML files. Okay, this is the extensible hypertext markup language. Okay, so this is again a kind of I will say reformulation. Okay, reformulation of HTML4 as an XML based application. Okay, so kind of a mix between HTML4 and XML. Okay, so key features will be modular structure for better organization and more extensible than the traditional HTML. Okay, so remember, this is not HTML5 but the traditional HTML, okay. So HTML5, now we will go a little bit into HTML5, okay. This is the one that you currently use, and this is the one that most web applications nowadays are based on, okay. Introduction will be the final version of HTML, which is focusing on adding modern features like multimedia, canvas and app support while maintaining simplicity, okay. So remember that HTML5, while it can do certain things on itself, it if you make an application using just HTML5, it will look like the early internet files, okay. Early internet web pages, just having a white page and then a few if you have a few href tags, then a few blue links, okay. You need to use CSS or something like similar to make it a little bit more aesthetic, okay. The key differences from SGML will be that it is no longer an SGML or XML application, okay. It will define its own parser and rules independent of SGML standards, okay. As I said before, SGML was more rigid in its rules and regulations, whereas HTML has kind of loosened them. Okay, you still need to follow certain structures in HTML, but again, you have certain free reign over there as well. Okay, and again, in HTML nowadays you can also include certain audio, video, pictures. Okay, and it can also be used for APIs. Okay, enhanced APIs for better browser interactions. Okay, when APIs will come in when you are using mat2. Okay, so how will you exactly use APIs to send data to the backend? Okay, so in HTML you have a normal HTML web page. Okay, so after that you will actually integrate type of some type of API, okay, into that. So let us take JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript will have a framework. JavaScript by itself cannot send APIs like that. Okay, so JavaScript, we need to use a JavaScript framework to send the API. Okay, so like suppose we how are we sending Flask? How are we using Flask? Okay, Flask is a Python framework. Python, we are not using exactly Python for backend. We are using a framework of its. Okay, so we are using Flask for the backend server. So similarly in the front end, to send data to the backend using API, we will use JavaScript, but a framework of it. Okay, that will be called Vue. Okay, so how will we do that? We will actually use certain calls in JavaScript in Vue. Okay, and then we will take the data similarly to the way that you are doing right now. So like suppose you have a form. Okay, you have a form in HTML. You will post the data, and then that using API calls we will send the data to the backend. Okay, the only difference is now you are using direct Jinja and Flask. In mat2 you will use APIs. Okay, to send and receive the data. Okay, so extend in HTML. So in HTML you can use like certain custom elements like which is achieved using JavaScript API. Okay, so this can allow the developers to define new tags and functionalities. Okay, so this can sometimes lead to challenges like inconsistent semantics, like if not standardized. Okay, and also risk of misuse like open-ended tag creation. Okay, so remember, in when you were using Jinja, you sometimes can forget to close the tags. Okay, like suppose for loop or if conditional statements, you can sometimes forget to do end for or something like that. Okay, and then if you like if your app goes live in the browser, it can cause problems because the app is now not functioning. Okay, so this is what it means. Okay, so web components will be custom elements like extend existing tags or create new ones. Okay, and then shadow DOM, that is the shadow document object manipulation. Okay, isolates the styles and scripts for component encapsulation. Okay, and also HTML. Okay, so in HTML what you can do is you can extend existing tags or create new ones. Okay, like so as we said before, like that can be done using JavaScript APIs. Okay, and also you can use shadow DOM. Okay, so this is something, what is DOM? Again, document object manipulation. Okay, so okay, am I audible? Please tell me that once.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
I might get disconnected once or twice. Okay, because like the net is really bad over here. Okay, so okay, so shadow DOM. Okay, so what is shadow DOM? So this is document object manipulation. Okay, so it isolates the styles and scripts for component encapsulation. So what will it do exactly? So again, remember in week 8 we learned something a little bit about DOM. Okay, so what is it doing? So we can use to do document object manipulation, we can use JavaScript. Okay, in HTML we have a certain button like click the button. Okay, and then immediately we are using JavaScript. Like what will JavaScript do over here for the DOM? So let us run the application once. Okay, run without debugging. Web app age, just give me a second. Okay, okay, it's running. Okay, so what is it doing exactly? So here we have an application over here. Okay, normal HTML file. Okay, so in this we have a p tag. In that p tag we have an ID, display text. Okay, inside the display text it says click the button to change me. Okay, and then the button on click equals to change text. Okay, so there is a function called change text in the button. Okay, and then we have in the side the script tag. Always remember to write your JavaScript in the HTML files inside of a script tag. Okay, as you write the CSS inside of the style text. Okay, so the function is change text. Okay, so what will it do? It will get the element by ID. Okay, so what is the ID over here? The ID is called display text. Okay, so it will get the element by that ID display text, and it will change the text. Okay, it will say change text. Okay, text change. So let us run it once. So it will do text change. Okay, so this is document object manipulation. So okay, this is also like a part of the web components that we can use using JavaScript and HTML. Okay, when it is combined together. So document object manipulation basically what it allows us to do is grab any element by the ID. If you have defined the ID, grab that element and then allows us to manipulate that element. Okay, the benefit will be it promotes the code reuse, because you don't have to write any type of different code for that. Okay, because you can use the same code and you can modify that code according to your liking. Okay, and allows the developers to create self-contained and customizable components. Again, you have a different types of HTML, right? So you don't need to write, like you can customize the elements according to your liking. Okay, you don't have to make yeah, like different kinds of pages or something again and again. Okay, so now we will be entering the JavaScript and modern web development. Okay, so is this till now, is everything clear? Um, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. So JavaScript and modern web development. Okay, so over here I have actually given some like where you can learn. I think I took it from Sir only. In the lecture, Sir had also given like where you can learn some JavaScript basics. Okay, if you have time, do go through it. Okay, because it will help you a lot. Okay, even now in Mad One in and Mad Two as well. Okay, and in term of course. Okay, so what is JavaScript? So JavaScript will be a high level programming language. Okay, that will offer like a simplify the coding for the humans. Okay, and the dynamic typing. Okay, so JavaScript is actually a little bit of dynamic typing. That means that the variables can hold values of different types without explicit declaration. Okay, so and also it is object oriented. Okay, so this means that this is prototype based rather than the classical. Okay, in Java, as in Java, it happens as in Java. Okay, so again these are like Sir has explained like why to learn JavaScript. Okay, so you can kind of go through it. Okay, and again why will we use JavaScript? Okay, and what do we use JavaScript for exactly in web development? Okay, as you saw over here, what exactly we did with JavaScript. Okay, we grabbed an item by the ID. Okay, by the p tag. Okay, by the ID, and then we changed the ID to whatever we wanted. Okay, so similarly JavaScript also has a different kinds of uses. Okay, so we can also send APIs. Okay, in like JavaScript frameworks to use the APIs to send different kinds of data. Okay, so that will come in handy later on. Okay, so the custom elements and the web components. So the custom elements can be like the HTML5, which actually allows us to like define our own tags via the JavaScript APIs. Okay, not on its own but via JavaScript APIs. Okay, so this means that custom elements like my button, it can be done like or else like you can also render that particular element. Okay, this type of buttons doesn't exist on its own in HTML. Okay, so but you can make it using JavaScript APIs. Okay, so it you can also customize them to do whatever you want by writing certain functions. Okay, so web components can be like key features which are like custom elements like again the web components. Okay, so defining the new reusable HTML tags with extended functionalities. Okay, so again as we saw like HTML templates using the template function. Okay, so this for this you will have to see the okay, when do we use the template this template tag? When we have a different kind of when we are writing the HTML part inside of a JavaScript, inside of JavaScript. Okay, when instead of HTML being the main part, JavaScript is actually the main part of the web application. Okay, so that is when we will use the template tag. Why? Because in this type of application over here, in this type of application, web application, the HTML is the main part. Okay, in HTML we are writing JavaScript, a little bit of JavaScript. That is why the name of the file is .html, and we are using a script tag over here because the JavaScript is too less to be significant. Okay, but in the when we will use the template tag, we will use the template tag when we are writing a little bit of HTML in a JavaScript. Okay, if there is time I will show it to you Okay, so also there are different kinds of resources over here, you can go through it, okay, a little bit. Okay, so the frameworks, okay, the frameworks, what are the purposes of frameworks in web development? Okay, so why do we exactly use frameworks? Okay, so frameworks can also help us to like reduce the repetitive coding tasks and standardize the approaches. Okay, so suppose in Flask, which you are using for the backend development right now, so from Flask you're importing render template, right? So imagine like in that doesn't exist exactly, okay, and you had to write the code for the render template again and again, okay, so that would have been kind of repetitive, okay. So that is why we have someone has made the framework, okay. So Flask, which is a framework for the backend development from Python, okay, and React, which is React you won't be using in MAD, okay. A JavaScript library for the front end component management, that is how it has been made as a framework, okay. That is how we are using, we are using the frameworks, okay. So someone, this has been made open source, if I'm not wrong, Python is open sourced, okay, and so and anybody is allowed to contribute to it, okay, on GitHub as well, okay. And you can also like contribute any type of code and make any type of libraries in Python, okay. Like that makes the skeleton of the code, okay. So suppose you want to make any type of backend development framework like Flask, you have the skeleton now, okay. So Flask makes like what do I mean by skeleton exactly? Like suppose HTML, okay, think of HTML. So HTML has defined what the structure of a web application should do, like that first comes the doc type HTML, then comes the head. What does the head contain? The title of the web, then comes the body, okay. So what does the title mean? The title means whatever contains inside of here, okay. And then comes the body, that will be over here, okay, in the application. That means that skeleton of the web application has been defined by HTML, okay. HTML5 or HTML whatever came before it, okay. So that has been kind of defined by Flask now for the backend application, okay. So now you can import it through Flask, okay, which is now a framework of Python. So you don't need to write the repetitive code again and again. So that is why we are using frameworks over here, okay. So what will be the advantages? The advantages will be code efficiency, to avoiding the reinvent the wheel, okay, and the standard techniques which will be like used widely accepted for design patterns of web development, okay. So if we have a certain framework that is like widely accepted, instead of using a like framework which is not widely known, that will be better when you are like suppose you are uploading something on GitHub. It will also be helpful to others when they're trying to clone your code for debugging purposes or for inspiration as well, because they can now learn it, okay. So suppose you are using Python instead of Haskell for your for doing something, okay, for developing something, and Python is a well-known language, right? So it will also help them as well, okay. So, okay, everything clear till now? Shall we move on to the single page applications? Okay. Okay, so now comes the single page applications, okay. So what are the single page applications? The single page applications will be that load a single HTML page and dynamically update content without reloading, okay. So remember this, because this can be asked during your Viva, okay. So this also improves the user experience with faster and more seamless interaction, okay. So I hope that you remember what is the static and the dynamic loading and everything, okay. So what is this happening? In a single page application you have only one page, okay, like this. So suppose that Google Docs, okay. So imagine this Google Doc, and then what is happening over here is that whenever you are like loading inside of a Google Doc, landing inside of a Google Doc, there is only one page, okay. And then as you go on writing, it is actually loading more and more pages, okay. So similarly, like a shopping website, e-commerce websites as well, like as you go down, they load more and more products, okay. So that is what is happening. They dynamically update the content in the like in the background while you are scrolling through the website, okay. So those are single page applications, okay. So the frameworks that can actually help you is that is actually not like Flask or anything. That will be actually JavaScript. Why? Because JavaScript actually has something called asynchronous loading, okay. So asynchronous, so what is asynchronous again? If you remember, asynchronous actually helps you, this was in your quiz too. Asynchronous actually helps you to like load the page in the background while you are scrolling browsing through the data in the web page, okay. So asynchronous helps you, okay. Async is also something in JavaScript that is used, okay. So that JavaScript frameworks like React, Angular, and Vue are more tailored for SPA development. Okay, so popular frameworks are in JavaScript are React. Okay, React is a library. Okay, so it can be primarily used for you building user interfaces. Okay, so there are declarative, like developers specify what the UI should look like. Okay, not how it works. Okay, and the components. Okay, so what does the frameworks exactly do for JavaScript? Always remember that JavaScript is actually something that is used in the front end. Okay, and Flask is something that is used in the back end. Okay, so no matter what, even if we are using JavaScript, we have to use it in the front end. Okay, so even if we are trying to send any type of data or something, we will send from the front end to the back end. Okay, also Vue, this is something that you will be using in your mat 2. Okay, so I will be covering this. So in your mat, basically, okay, app dev subjects. Okay, so Vue.js is a lightweight and beginner friendly. Okay, and it combines the best features of React and Angular. Okay, so also the summary, okay, I have provided a summary over here. So JavaScript will be the core language for dynamic, okay, interactive web development, and the custom elements for web components will be the extended HTML5 capabilities for modular reusable designs, and also these are the most popular choices for web applications. Okay, then we will go into JavaScript basics. Okay, like how exactly is JavaScript used and what are the basics that you need to know for now. Okay, so again, is everything clear for now? Okay, otherwise we'll go into, okay, okay, okay. So I think that the API calling part, I will show the Mat2 project. Yeah, I will use the Mat2 project to show that, so that it is more clear for the API part, like how exactly is the API sending the data from the front end to the back end using JavaScript. Okay, so let us first cover the JavaScript basics. Okay, so how exactly is JavaScript, like how to set up like JavaScript. Okay, so there are also inline JavaScript. Okay, so in CSS there was inline CSS, external CSS. Okay, so there are also inline JavaScript. Okay, and there is also external JavaScript. Okay, so if you have JavaScript stored in an external file, like suppose in CSS that you were doing like style.css, then it will be that external JS. Okay, so script.js, suppose you have, okay, that will be external JavaScript. Okay, and inline JavaScript, what is happening is, suppose you have a button. Okay, and then in the button you say on click equals to alert and then hello world. Okay, like in the function you define it then and there inside of the button what it has to do, then that will be inline JavaScript. Okay, in JavaScript there can be three types of variables. Okay, var, let, and const. Okay, let is actually block scoped, which means that it can be reassignable. Okay, so const is actually block scoped, but the thing is that const is actually constant. Okay, if you write something as const, like suppose const a equals to 10, it cannot be reassigned. Okay, if it's reassigned then it won't be taken into consideration. Okay, so let can be reassigned. Okay, but var is actually outdated. Okay, and it is function code scoped. What does function scoped means? It means that it is mainly used inside of the functions. Okay, so suppose you want to define something inside of a function, then you can use word. Okay, but it is generally avoided using. Okay, but again IITM can give questions related to word. Okay, so these are certain examples. Okay, using let, constant, word. Okay, suppose let we are using name Alice can be reassigned. Okay, const pi equals to 3.14, but the problem is pi cannot be reassigned later inside of the code because const is constant. Okay, data types, again JavaScript also has the same data types as Python. Okay, number will be like this. Okay, string, boolean, and null equals to null. Okay, in JavaScript there is actually the true and the false, they are all in small letters. Okay, so be careful with that. Okay, and these are some examples, okay, that you can go through. Operators, okay, again, okay, so don't go through this. This was something that I was again using to just say that, just explain something. Okay, so this is logical and, okay, logical and this is logical or, okay, and this is logical not. Okay, So this, okay, so in Python we have print statements, right? We have print statements in Python. So how do we print something statements in JavaScript? Okay, and how do they show up? Okay, in JavaScript, since we are doing something in the front end, how will they show up? Yeah, not in the like in the if you click the inspect element, you will see like over here. Let me, okay, they are not allowing me to click the inspect element. Okay, I need to go to MSH. Okay, let me click the inspect element over here. Okay, so if I click the inspect element over here, you will see that there is an element, and like after elements there is a console. Okay, in this console, if you type something, you will see this over here. And okay, and if in your code you have console.log, and then inside of the log you have something written, then that will also be logged inside of that console only. Okay, so suppose we have an example over here, like let x equals to 10, let y equals to 5, then console.log x plus 5. Okay, then that will be also be logged inside of that console. Okay, and also in your terminal in VS Code. Okay, in JavaScript this is how we debug something. Okay, if you have like in Python, how do we debug something? We write print statements. Okay, in JavaScript this is how we debug things. Okay, so these are this is again this is I forgot this is called the equals to, yeah, equals to the triple equals to. Okay, so this is the triple equals to. So in triple equals to, what needs to happen is okay, so the double equals to actually checks for the value. Okay, so what happens, so suppose a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 5. Okay, so over here both of them are integers. Okay, so a equals to b will be set to true, and a equals to b will also be set to true. Okay, but the thing is that the triple equals to will checks for both. Okay, both the value and the type. Okay, so that is the problem. Okay, so suppose a is equals to 5 and the b is equals to suppose say they give a double quotes within 5. Okay, so that will be a problem. Okay, so then in that case one will be set to false. Okay, so so this is also something that is new in JavaScript. Okay, so then comes the functions. Okay, so what are functions? Functions are, yes, Bhumika.
Sorry, ma'am, can you please repeat it? The last 2 points.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So there are two types of equals to. Okay, so there is like two equals to, which is the normal type of equals to. Then there are the three equals to. Okay, in JavaScript. Okay, so the double equals to, what does it do? It actually checks for the value. Okay, like what has been assigned. Okay, and the triple equals to also checks for the type. Okay, so suppose the type is like int, boolean, string. Okay, it also checks for that as well as the value. Okay, so suppose over here the a has been assigned to 5, b has been assigned to 5 as well. Okay, both of them are integer. Okay, so a triple equals to b as well as a double equals to b will be set to true. Okay, but in the second step, a equals to 5 and b equals to 4, both of them will be set to false. Okay, but the problem comes when some of them, when one of them has been set to either string, or like one of them has been set to string, like suppose a is equals to 5, but the problem comes when b is equals to uh, b is equals to 5 as well, but it has been set as string of 5. Okay, then a will be equals to b, but the problem is a won't be equals to b. Okay,
Okay,
like,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay, is it okay? Okay. So then comes the functions. Okay, so what exactly are the functions? So functions are again some reusable blocks of codes that perform specific tasks. Okay, so functions we have used before. Okay, so in this as well we have used the functions. Okay, so suppose we had a p tag over here where it was saying the display text. Okay, and then we had a button on click that called the change text. Okay, so if you see this over here, the function, we had a function called change text. Okay, that was doing something. In JavaScript this is how we declare functions. Okay, we say the name function, and then we say the name of the function that we want to name it, and then if needed we pass something inside of that function. Okay, and then we return whatever we want to return inside of that particular function. Okay, and then afterwards, if we want to check whether the function is working or not, we then do console.log. Okay, in Python we generally do diff okay, just give me a minute. Okay, in Python, what do we do? In Python, we generally do def and then greet and then the name. We pass the name inside of that, right? So this is how we define a function inside of JavaScript. Okay. And okay, there are also control statements or the conditional statements. Okay, so in conditional statements what happens is, okay, there are also for loop. Yeah, I was also confused, like where did the for loop go. Okay, so in conditional statements what happens is, like suppose we have set a variable. Okay, like a variable called let. Okay, so let age equals to 20. Okay, so this is kind of, the conditional statements are kind of similar to Python. Okay, if we say the if, and then immediately afterwards in the brackets we set the condition. Okay, and then afterwards within curly braces we say what will happen if the condition is set to true. Okay, otherwise we use the else block, and then within the curly braces we say what if it's otherwise. Okay, like the else blocks. Okay, so these are the conditional statements, similar to Python as well. Okay, and then comes the for loop. Okay, in JavaScript the for loop is kind of a little bit different. Okay, so what is happening exactly over here, so we say for, and then afterwards we have to, so over here we have to assign a value. Okay, so over here what are we doing over here, so we are saying that let I equals to 0. Okay, I, we are have a value over here, we have a variable over here called I, we are setting that I to 0. Okay, and then a condition. Okay, first we have a variable, we will define a variable, then we have the condition. The condition over here is I should be less than 5. We will keep incrementing I. Okay, and then the incrementing condition. Okay, and then afterwards we will do something. Okay, inside of that loop. Okay, so this is a for loop. Okay, I will delete the hashtag. Okay, so this is the for loop. Okay, so the loop is a little bit different. Okay, in JavaScript. Any doubt regarding the for loop, like what is happening over here?
Ma'am, when did this console.log I will pre- do work?
This console log I means that printing statements. Okay, so
No, no, ma'am.
generally this
When it will run? My if statement or else statement? Like
um
satisfy condition or
yes,
not satisfy condition when?
the console log it will run always. Okay, so like if you have inside of, wait, let me just go up a little bit. If you have inside of if statement, like over here, so suppose the age was 20, right? So age is greater than 18. Okay, greater than equals to 18, so it will say you are an adult. Okay, console.log means print. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
let me just go down. So basically in Python we say print, in JavaScript we say console.log. Okay, so the for loop is clear till now, whatever we learned, because we will be now will going into while loops and arrays. Okay, is it clear till now, whatever we have done? Okay, while loop. Okay, so how do we do while loop? Okay, so if I'm not wrong, in JavaScript there is also do while loop. Okay, um, I think so. Okay, but it's okay. Just focus on the while loop for now. Okay, do while loop is not really used. Okay. Let count equals to 0. Okay, so we have also initialized a variable called count. Okay, that will be equals to 0, and then while count is less than 5 we will do console.log of count. Okay, so what will the output, and then count will be incremented plus plus. Okay, so what will be the output, so it will be like 1 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, till like till 5. Okay, till it's less than 5. Okay, so console.log will print count till it's less than 5. Okay, and then count will be incremented. This is what the while loop will do. Okay, so then comes the arrays. Okay, so what is the array? In JavaScript arrays also are similar to Python. Okay, but the thing is, if you're using push and pop over here, okay, I think that push and pop are a concept of PDS and not Python. Okay, so push is used to add something to a list. Okay, and pop is used to delete something. Okay, so basically if you use pop it will actually delete the last element in JavaScript. Okay, so we have a fruits over here, we have a list called fruits over here that has a few elements. Okay, so console.log of fruits of one over here, yes, this is a stack, like first in and then last out, FILO, I think so. Yeah, first in and then last out. No, no, no. Last in and last out. Not stack. Okay, not stack. First in and no. This is not stack. Okay. So this will be like let like fruits. Okay. So fruits equals to like apple, banana, and cherry. Okay, so if we have console.log and then fruits of one, then what will be the first place? Okay, so zeroth index is apple, and then first index is banana. Okay, so JavaScript also takes from the zeroth index only. Okay, so fruits dot push will, if we try to push something, like append something to the list, then what will happen? It will actually push the name of the whatever we are trying to append to the end of the list. Okay, and if we try to pop something, then that will actually remove the item that has been at the end of the list as well. Okay, first in first out, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, then it will be stack. Okay, this is concept of PDSA, first in first out, so don't think about that right now. Okay, you just need to know the, like, how the list is working. Okay, so afterwards comes the objects. Okay, so if you remember what is object, this comes in the key value pairs or the dictionaries. Okay, so over here we have a name. Okay, we have a particular name and we have an age. Okay, in the name we have stack is q is first in first out, right? FIFO, Q is first in first out. So stack will be first in last out. Okay. Okay, so name over here is Alice. Okay, and then age is 25. Okay, we have two of this key value pairs. Okay, and then we have a greet function. Okay, so function can also be defined like this. Okay, so we have greet called, the function name is greet. Okay, and then we have console.log hi I am, and then the dollar sign. Okay, in JavaScript we actually use this dollar sign to do, and then this dot name. Okay, so this is how we refer something in JavaScript to, like this dot name. So what will this dot name actually do? This dot name references the name that we have just assigned, so Alice. Okay, so in JavaScript we use this. Okay, to refer to the something. Okay, so and also the dollar sign. Okay, so console.log person dot name. Okay, so person dot name will again like change the full thing. Okay, and then person dot greet will actually say that, the person dot greet will actually call the greet function. Okay, so person is kind of changing the whole function over here. Okay, but again person is kind of over here working as greet. Okay, because person we had initialized beforehand to let. Okay, so let person equals to full thing over here. So since we like person has been initialized beforehand, we can call person. Okay, otherwise this will be called with using this only. Okay, inside of the function. Don't worry, I will run certain codes and I will show you how JavaScript is exactly working. Okay, and then the events. Okay, so events we have used events and DOM we have like used a lot. Okay, in even in our codes. Okay, I have showed you quite a bit like how to use the events. Okay, so there are different events, examples of events. Yes, Bhumika.
Ma'am, what if like if there are more than one name, so then also this will work like this dot name if we are passing.
More than one name. Okay, wait. This dot name. No, it won't. This is just a key value pair, right? So there cannot be more than one name right now over here. Okay, because let person can only have one name right now. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I will show you. Don't worry. I will open the view files and then I will show you the coding parts. Okay, so just let me complete it, and then comes the events. Okay, so we have completed the events by coding. Okay, I have showed you a little bit. There are different types of elements like DOM manipulators. Okay, or events. Okay, like add event listener over here. What is add event listener do? Like if you have adding something like add event listener, that can send some type of warning. Okay, so suppose you are trying to delete certain things, then that will send a warning like, are you sure you want to delete the certain things? So that is done by using JavaScript. Okay, and then also get element by ID. These are also used inside of DOM. Okay, so just give me a second, I will just open VS Code and um, just give me a second. Okay, I'll just stop presenting for a moment and open VS Code. Okay, I'll open folder. Okay, I hope that my screen is visible. Okay, so you cannot use the same variable in a. Okay, let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, what did I do? I didn't do anything, right? Yeah. Is this okay? Okay, so you cannot use the same variable in two different places. Okay, so see this. Okay, so we had the book name over here. Okay, so that is why we were using this dot new name. Okay, and then we had the book author. Okay, so that is why we are using this dot author. Okay, so like certain key value pairs. Okay, so I just opened this because I wanted to show you like where do we use the templates. Okay, first of all, let us go step by step. Why are we using templates over here? So remember that in this type of file, what is happening is, why are we using, okay, let me just close the browser. Okay, so in this type of file, what is happening is, it is a .html file. Okay, in this .html file, it is a .html file, that is why we are using a script tag inside of it. Okay, because in this .html file we are using a little bit of JavaScript. Okay, so the JavaScript is actually not really that much significant. Okay, but this is a .js file or a .vue file. Okay, that is why we are using a template tag over here. Okay, because the JavaScript will be more significant over here than the templates. Okay, so that is why over here I had written in the beginning. um I have to search for it. Okay, I think you remember. That is why in the beginning I had I had written about using the templates tags like this. Okay, so okay, again, now comes the API part. Okay, so how exactly will we send the API call? Okay, so over here we have certain things. Okay, how will we send the APIs using JavaScript? Okay, API calls using JavaScript. So we have a certain template. Okay, the template stops being defined over here. Okay, so whatever we have over here till now was a part of HTML. Okay, so in the HTML, we like a normal HTML web page. Okay, so whatever we wanted to see in the HTML part, like in the front end, like suppose over here, whatever HTML we wanted to see over here, it was normal HTML. Okay, so after that starts the script. Like after this starts the API calling. Okay, so suppose this is the edit books part. Okay, so we have to import something. Okay, so import some libraries from JavaScript. Okay, again, we are using a framework for JavaScript. Okay, so we have to import certain libraries from JavaScript. Okay, and after that we have to send API calls. Okay, so I will just show you this part because I don't want to go into much details. So what are we doing over here as the API calling? So we will actually wait. Okay, so what does async mean? Async means asynchronous. Okay, the full form is actually asynchronous. Okay, so asynchronous means that we will wait for the backend. Okay, response from the backend. Okay, we will wait for the response from the backend. Okay, so like wait. Okay, so we will wait a response from the backend. Like this is the local host. Okay, so this means that we will be waiting for a response from the backend, this route from the backend. Okay, and as soon as we get a response from the backend, we will send this data to the backend. Okay, which means that now the backend and the front end are both connected. Okay, now the backend is ready to receive the API call. Okay, from the front end. So now the data is also getting received. Okay, from the front end, the backend server is live, the front end server is live. Whatever data we have from the backend, now it can be getting sent to the, it is now getting sent to the front end. So now the data is able to, now we as a client are getting are able to see the data in the front end. Okay, since now we have waited for the connection to arrive from the backend. Okay, is it getting too complex or is it okay? Like, wait, let me just open. Is it getting too complex or is it okay?
Little bit complex, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay. So in the back end, just give me a second. Okay, so I will just for the API calls, what is happening is in the back end we have a model. Okay, that model your database. Okay, just give me a second. I forgot where I get the database. I think differently. Okay, so you remember this type of APIs that you defined in your week 6. Okay, so that API is actually over here. Instead of returning status codes, I am returning the JSONify. Okay, so instead of returning the status codes, this time I am just returning the data, whatever data we are fetching from the database. Okay, so in the front end, what are we doing? This is the front end. Okay, so imagine this as an HTML file. Okay, so this means that we when there are certain things that we have defined over here. Okay, so that this means that suppose we have to display certain books, whatever books we have in the database, we want to define it inside of the front end. Okay, so what will the application do? The application over here will wait for the backend to respond. Okay, so it will wait for the backend server to go live. How will the backend server go live? We will open a terminal over here, and then we will type in python main.py. Okay, so now the backend server has started. Okay, and then we will go to the backend server, and then it will, the application will actually wait the backend server to respond with this particular link. Okay, so in the backend server you also have to write the link. Okay, so how will you write the link in the backend server? How you define the particular links, like at the rate app.route, and then inside of app.route you write the link like slash home. Okay, so suppose the route is slash home. Okay, and then the front end will actually wait that particular link. Okay, as soon as it knows that the link is now live, then it will actually send the data. Okay, the front end will try to receive this data from the backend. Okay, the backend has already posted this data. Okay, it has already fetched this data from the database. Okay, and then it will try to it will try to get this data, okay, from the backend, and now it will display it in the front end. Okay, this is how an API call is happening. Just let me cut it. Okay, so this is how an API calls happen using Vue and Flask. Okay, is it becoming too complex, or shall I explain again?
Ma'am, this will come in term
I just JavaScript a little bit can come in term, but I just wanted to explain it to you like how API is generally working.
because it is going overhead.
Okay, then don't focus on it right now. Okay, don't focus on it right now. Just know the basics of JavaScript that we have covered. Okay, just that much will be over. Like just that much will be enough for now. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so I think we have covered what we had to cover today. Okay. So whatever I was like trying to demonstrate using this application was how the APIs, like how we are sending data and receiving data using APIs from the front end to the back end. Okay, using APIs. Till now, what you have done? Till now, you have sent and received API using Jinja. Okay, using a backend server only, like using Flask and Jinja. Okay, from front end to back end. I was trying to like demonstrate how we will use APIs to do that. Okay, but it's okay if it's like becoming too complex, we can skip that. Okay, so we have actually completed what we had to complete for today. Okay, like week 11 concepts. Okay, okay, so sorry.
Ma'am, from week 9 to week 12, in the end term, the theory problems will come.
Theory problems. Yes, there can be some type of theory concepts. Okay, just give me a second, because let me just open a interim exam paper.
Ma'am, in the ma'am,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can hear you.
ma'am, ma'am, in the project, if we are not using API,
Mm-hmm.
then do we have to do this part db dot init underscore app bracket app of app?
Huh?
This part.
DB.init tab. You mean initializing the database? Initializing the database is you have to do, right? Otherwise, how will
Oh,
you
that,
use?
that I have done that SQL alchemy.
Okay, see, if your application.
DB equal to SQL alchemy of app. That
Mhm.
I have done.
See, if your application is working fine, it's actually fully up to you what you are doing, as long as you complete the code requisites. Okay,
No, I'm not implementing API.
it's
Then
okay. It's okay. API is in the recommended recommended ones, right? So as long as you complete the core requirements, it's fine. Okay.
so this need not implement. No, as I'm not implementing API.
Yes, yes, yes. It's okay. It's okay. Fully okay.
So this part I can cut. No, this
Yes,
DB
yes,
init of app.
yes, yes. You can. Okay, you can.
Okay, I can remove it. No,
Yes, yes, you can.
and if I don't remove it, it will cause any problem.
No, actually, like as long as I said, like as long as your application is working fine, it's fully fine. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so like questions, theory questions, like as I am seeing, there are actually quite a few theory questions. Okay, this is actually again in term like December 2023. Okay, FN FDD1. Okay, there are actually quite a few theory questions in N term, and this paper is actually really good paper. Okay, and I had it only. Only this is the only paper I had downloaded. I wanted to take some examples from this one. So yeah, the theory questions over here. Okay, this is from week. The last week we covered. Okay, the week 10 one. The branch coverage condition coverage. Okay. So yes, theory questions are coming from week 9 to 12. Okay. Also yeah, Git questions. Okay. This is something that you need to keep in mind. The Git syntaxes. Okay, because this will come. Okay, one or two questions from Git will come, because now exactly they have Git is also mandatory for the project, so this can come in the exam. Okay, week 12. Okay.
Some questions are repeating, man.
Yes, so some questions are repeating, like if mute yourself.
The earlier question was repeating.
This question has repeated, the status code one has repeated. Okay, this one has repeated quite a few times. Okay, the like suppose you are given an exam in January term, then the December terms questions can has repeated in the previous terms. It has happened. Okay, we didn't do this one. Okay, this is okay. HTML ones are also coming. Yes, okay. Theory questions are coming from week 9 to 12. So you need to have your concepts cleared a little bit. Okay. Also numericals from the previous weeks. Test API and the APIs. Okay. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Any doubt regarding what we did today? Let me just close this. Okay. Because we have technically covered what we had to cover. Okay. For today.
So
And
everything in this document is important, right?
in this document like I like it just has basics of JavaScript and a few history of HTML.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and yeah, till we cover week 12 I am actually not really sure of starting the intern papers. Otherwise I would have started the intern papers quicker.
Actually, I am solving some of the papers and finding some questions really difficult to solve.
Hmm. Yeah, intern
So
is a little bit
I am
tricky.
waiting that you start it so that it gets clarified for me.
Yeah, the thing is like week 12 has been released, right? But the thing is like I
Mhm.
need to week 12 I cannot cover
I,
for now, because 11 week 11 due date has also not passed yet.
yes. I think in earlier session you said that we will start from fifth.
Yes, yes, fifth. It will start from fifth or third.
Okay.
So yeah, four or three interim papers.
Hmm. Okay.
Yes, Jaydeep.
Yeah, ma'am. Could you
Hmm.
like there is some of common questions. So which questions you feel that these questions are common? So can you select them and take in one session?
Actually, there can't be like any question like that. Okay, because every term they change questions. Previously, there used to be some questions that repeated for two terms consecutively, but now no such questions are repeating. Okay, API I can give you topics that you can like will come. Okay, but questions I don't think that I will be able to tell, unfortunately. Yeah, not all repeats. Nothing actually is repeating for now. Okay, but API, I want you to focus on API assertion question, like assert pi test questions. Okay, and of course
Ma'am,
flask
these questions are repeating. The
repeat.
last question that you showed, yes, it
This
was
is
repeated. I solved in one
hmm,
question.
this
One
is a
question.
really old interim paper. So this
Okay.
is I don't even think that like 1 year back interim paper. So yeah, don't even like this is
Okay.
just for clearing concept, but this is a interim paper that is really good for clearing concept because a lot of hard questions are from here.
This was 2023 question paper.
Yes, the forenoon one.
Ma'am,
Can you show that
September time,
at
ma'am.
the very start? What question is that?
Yes, both of you spoke at the same time.
First question I want to see.
Okay,
Yes, I think I might
this
have
came
solved this
in.
paper.
This actually this is a question that we solved in a quiz one as well.
Hmm. In one session, you solved that question.
Hmm. Yeah, I took examples from this papers like this for solving.
Okay. Anyways, okay.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yes, someone else was saying something. Yeah, Bhumika.
Ma'am, in the next session, what you will take, like week 12 or
No, not week 12, but actually, I haven't decided yet. I need to think because in week 11, 12, there is actually not even query like coding. AQPQ is tomorrow. Okay, AQPQ class is tomorrow.
Ma'am, you can take week 12 so that we can start with end term after that.
yes, ma'am. We can solve more and more PYQs.
Week 12, actually, I cannot take till the official, I cannot take till 1 first, actually. Because I need to wait or Saturday. So next class I need to see. Okay. Mm, I will see what I need to think actually. 30th is the deadline for week 10 as well as 11. Yes. I need to see week 12. Like I said, I will start interim papers from 5th, but I think I can start before that, like from 3rd or 5th. Okay. I can like at least do 4 interim papers. But 12 like week 12 I can do on 29th or 29th or 1st. Thursday I need to take something else and I need to see that what maybe a doubt clearing session. I haven't decided yet. I need to see. Okay, but we have covered what we had to cover today. Week 11 and 12 are actually like from 9 onwards, it's actually a little bit less heavy week, I will say. Okay. So yeah, I will stop presenting now. If anyone has any doubts, you can ask. Okay. Otherwise, we have completed what we had to complete today. Okay. If no such doubts, then I will stop the recording and streaming. Okay. Okay. Okay then. Thank you so much, everyone, for being so patient with me, and good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, you'll be post uploading this video recording, right,
Yes,
ma'am?
yes, both of them, week 10 and week 11 as well.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
After I get it in the drive, okay, I will tell ma'am. Okay,
Okay,
about that.
ma'am. It'll be in the YouTube, right, ma'am?
Yes, YouTube in the videos folder, okay, not in the live folder.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.